Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mass Effect. All right, so Shepard cracks.
A Krogan, a Sari, and a human walk into an abandoned spaceship. Ouch.
The Solarian laughs as he sits safely on the ship.
That's not how jokes work.
Yeah, they're Solarians.
You'll be the joke soon.
Oh, nice.
You
Yeah,
just
first and foremost.
You just disable the bloody boarding thing, and we just vent to space, and you're like, my plan.
All right,
Someone's
so
gonna get punchlined.
the door opens up, and like I said, it is dark on the inside. It just happens to be dark on the inside, and so you see that the human quickly, because you remember, Ollie, that what you had gleamed from his mind about how things work. All of a sudden, you hear him say, "Switch to low light," and then like his you see his visor changes the color display on the inside ever so slightly, and it's got a slight green tint to it, and then he immediately starts scanning around the area. Did either of you pick up low light goggles or no?
Yes.
He does, I don't.
Okay.
Scrax is a lot less fancy. He has to open up his Omni tool, scrolls through a couple things, hits a button.
It's like an app.
Yep.
And then, yeah,
Advertisements pop up. He's like, no, why doesn't the X button work? Oh, that's right. There's a 5-second timer now before I'm allowed to close out. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, you switch to the arm, and all of a sudden, so Krogan see in a slightly different spectrum than humans do, and so when he switches to low light, it's that same kind of light that we always see in the movies and whatnot, where it's like greenish tinged light that happens because that's what his human eyes are able to pick up from inside here. Krogan see on a different spectrum than they do, so his monitor shows up as more of a reddish color than it shows up as a
it's like a muddy orange, muddy red.
Yeah. And so you guys both start looking around the room to see what you can see. Do you see what I see?
How much technology still works in this place? Because Asari can see UV light, and a lot of technology gives off UV light randomly.
It's a really good point.
I generally don't know how things work in this world, because that could be a way to go around it. I might be able to see a little bit, but that's up to you.
I'm pretty sure that's how Chronicles of Riddick. That's how Riddick sees things, is through.
That's
UV,
how
right?
Riddick sees things, exactly.
So UV light is wonderful. You are on the inside of hulls of ships, so that's going to stop like a most penetrating UV light from the star that you happen to be nearby. However, there is still light coming from the ship behind you, and there's still very light electronics in here. I'm going to say that you can see, but with -3s to your perceptions in the darkest areas, as opposed to not at all. Okay.
As long as I have some way to stumble through the darkness, is what I was kind of hoping.
Somebody asked if the Omni tools can work as flashlights. Yes, and your helmets have flashlights built into them, but those are pretty.
Considering
obvious.
these two didn't turn lights on, I'm not turning lights on.
Yep. So I'm sorry, Frank. You rolled your perception check. No, you did not. Could you please roll me a perception wisdom check, por favors?
4 favors. For quavers.
Not bad.
Fucking sweet. So with your 10 perception check, you looking around the room, you actually notice free floating bodies.
Human?
Sorry, not free floating. Sorry, not free floating. The gravity's here. You notice human bodies lying on the ground around different areas. There, they clearly are dead, no question. And they're all about. None of them have weapons drawn. All of them are inside their Alliance military uniforms and whatnot. And so you see this, like, as soon as you switch to night vision, you instantly see that looking around, checking the different areas. What do you say or do?
Do they look human or are they Batarian or
Definitely
whatever?
human.
Yeah, he keys his comms real quick and just weapon at the ready because he's walking into the place. He just shrugs and keys his comm directly to Sparky and says, "Sparky, you should have let me blast that ship. Get a little revenge for your people."
He doesn't respond at first, and then when he finally does, he goes, there's still time." And for revenge is referred to. And then he starts like walking forward to walk in front of the Krogan to immediately over to the first body to kneel in front of it and start looking at it. And when he does kneel in front of it, he kneels in front of it and he pulls out a medical kit. and he starts like taking it out and looking over the person. You obviously know what a medical kit is immediately, Ollie, because you're familiar with it. So he
I
pulls
have one in my bag.
Yep. So he pulls out a med kit and he starts like looking through the thing and trying to find out what he can. Oh, my apologies. He doesn't have a med kit. That's right. I couldn't fit it on his
And
Hold on.
and
one
Acharya
second.
can't see.
All right, so she can see that he's doing things. Yeah.
Kinda.
So he goes over there and he starts immediately doing like medical checks on this person's body, and he seems to have a trained hand doing it. You, however, have a medical kit, and I think you even have a bioscanner.
I do. So
Okay.
I would go over. The bioscanner lights up a little bit, which you know when like you're stumbling around in the dark and you use your phone as a light source. I basically end up doing that. And I turn on the bioscanner and I start.
So he goes over there and starts looking over the person, trying to get some sort of diagnostics. But when he sees you like open up a med kit and put it down next to him, and then bust out a bioscanner, and you're looking over the body immediately, he actually will like look to you, like what are you? And then he like nods, and then he'll stand up and like take a couple steps back and kind of like stand over you like in a protective way, like scanning the rest of the room and whatnot while you're doing your med check. What is Krax doing?
Krax is he's making sure that there's no one trying to like ambush them.
Mm-hmm.
How many doors like leading outwards are there?
Where you guys dropped into happens to be you guys actually dropped into a hallway immediately. That hallway has a ends in closed double doors, had ends in the other direction with a openish kind of area that was where a whole bunch of like technicians and whatnot would be working on the computers for the actual ship, making sure things are functioning, engine room kind of thing, so on and so forth. Because this is a frigate. It's actually a decent sized ship with a crew of 30 to 40 people. And then there was also a room off to the side, and that's the room that you guys immediately went into. This room off to the side, once again, has a whole bunch of computers and stuff like that inside of it, probably for doing like the scanning, like for doing like scans of everything else that's going on.
Okay. And how many of these doors are like open, or are they all closed?
So like I said, the hallway that goes into the open area is an open hallway. The door that went into the room that probably has the scanning equipment, the one that you guys are currently standing in, they walked into it no problem. So that one was open, and then there is the closed double door at the other end of the hallway.
Yeah, he's mostly covering the open doors. But yeah, he's like checking every once in a while to see if the doors are opening or being opened.
So more or less what you guys are able to do, because where you dropped in and they kind of like took the perpendicular like area, they went into the side turn in, where they are, you're more or less standing in a three-way intersection looking around like a guard, and very easily able to plug that hole and watch over everybody. So you're guarding this area, making sure that they're nice and secure while she's doing her bioscanner. And he's kind of, after he sees that you're very well guarding the area and the room otherwise seems to be locked off, he starts meandering around and looking at a few other things. And so he does that. Do me a favor, please, Ollie. You're able to roll for me a first aid, and you can actually do intelligence or wisdom check for this one.
I will do wisdom. I was going to say wisdom isn't on here. It's just like weirdly out of order. Do I get any benefits from the bioscanner, or is it just it tells me more with my rolls?
There you go. It's more or less like the DCs just reveal more. So when you look over the body, clearly this person's been deceased based off of what you understand of human decay and whatnot. They've been deceased for a few days, and it actually seems as though the cause of death was it was lack of oxygen. Like literally lack of oxygen to the organs was cause of death.
I would relay this.
And the decay has been slowed incredibly by the fact that the ship is very cold.
Yeah, there's next to no atmosphere. I would relay this, but mostly to old Lieutenant Clark, that they died of suffocation. They were not shot down. More or less natural causes, unless their life support system were tampered with in some way.
You mean the fact that there is no life support means that they're all dead?
There could have been any number of reasons for someone to die and then to destroy the ship afterwards. Now we know that they died due to the life support system being no longer enabled.
If that's the case, then none of them have their suits on. That means that this happened suddenly. It happened, they weren't prepared for it.
Are you talking about this on comms, or are you like in person?
I think we have to because
Yeah.
there's like no atmosphere here.
Yep.
Okay, in that case, like, Cattle would chime in at that point, like, are these people the scientists or the military that
This
we
is the
came
military
here
vessel.
to?
Yep.
Okay, so the bodies here are military personnel that, okay. Right. Cattle would suggest, like, he would get back after like half a second of thinking, because Solarians think really fast like that. He would go like, maybe you should go check out the life support system, or try to get it online so I can run diagnostics on it.
We're in the room that handles most of the computing for scanning. I can get these systems online if you want to try to parse through this information, or do you think life support's more important? He says already deviating from his own plan because he didn't expect this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, Cattle pauses for a second, and then goes, seeing whether life support is in any way tampered with or whatnot, I think takes priority right now. Because if life support is tampered with, something's amiss. This is the response force, after all.
Do you think bridge or engineering, which would be easier for you to check through?
Surely the scans of the ship will say somehow.
No. I was more or less like, does he want us to go to the bridge and power up there, or does he want us to go to engineering and power up the life support systems from there, like for him to do his diagnostics?
I think the bridge would be better, because I would be able to access their systems and then run diagnostics of the life support system through the bridge.
Could you do me a favor?
Basically,
we will go to the bridge. We'll get this stuff online. Run a scanner through the rest of the ship. A ship like this, usually the personnel that's going to be prepared for combat, boarding, all of those things, they're going to be down in the aft of the ship, lower levels. Those would be the soldiers that are already suited up and ready to go. If these deaths did in fact happen from a sudden vacating of the life support systems, there probably were a few people that had their suits on at the time. It's unlikely that they would have died from that same situation, right? They could have been protected by their suits, at least for some time. Run scans down there and see if you can find out anything from that area. Also,
I would have probably already been running scans the whole time as they were in there.
Okay. Well, because obviously you're looking to get this stuff done. I was going to have you rolling for that in a moment anyways. He's like, so check that stuff and we'll make our way to the bridge. To which, of course, he says, Cracks. And when Cracks looks, he gestures towards the closed doors and says, can you get those open?
Silly question.
Frank?
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
Oh.
So he wants me to open the doors?
Yeah, he's like, can you get those open?
Yeah, probably easily. Cracks just walks over, doesn't say a word. Hard points his rifle real quick, takes the doors and just like starts to pull them apart. Do I need to make a test or?
You're going to roll for me a strength exert check. The systems are all shut down, but these are still sealed doors, so you're still going to roll for me with a -1.
Oh, I did not put the -1 in there.
That's fine. So 11.
11.
You're still fine.
You grab it and you open the doors open. All right, so could you do me a favor, please, Rick? Could you roll for me the scans that you were trying to do at the time before and whatnot? That's the same as we've been doing beforehand: intelligence or wisdom, perception or electronics.
It keeps going well for some reason.
That's
I'm
amazing.
not complaining.
You're good at what you do.
Bad.
So,
But this isn't what I do normally.
one of the things that you do find out is there is, in fact, a bit of system that's online. You actually are getting a small blip of life support system that is, in fact, online on this vessel, the one that you're attached to and running your scans through it. What it is there is a, what do they call it? A shuttle that's on this vessel. And the shuttle is currently, it's powered up, but they're low power draw vessels anyways. And it has a functioning life support system on there, and you're getting readings off of it. With your 11 check, you were able to figure that out.
Right. I would be keeping like a map for them for their Omni tool, like just with scans that I was passively doing already. Having picked up on that, I would definitely throw a huge ping on there, like active power draw from life support right there.
Okay. And so, like, as Krax finishes, like, ripping open the doorway, and you see on the inside of the bridge, Krax, you're the first one to look in there, and you have your low light vision and everything. You look throughout the inside of the bridge, and you just see more corpses about, you know what I mean? Like, slumped over desks and whatnot, or, like, lying on the ground, like just bodies all about here, and they're all ranked positions within the Alliance military. You know, the captain is in his chair, dead. Again, very well preserved from practically no atmosphere and extreme cold. And so as like you're kind of like like you see that and you start walking in to look around and taking the sights or whatever, he goes to go walk in behind you, stops because the information, checks his Omni tool and pings it, and he's like, good work. Stand by, please. And Krax, what do you do when you actually first step inside that room?
Yeah. Shipboarding 101. Look for traps. Yeah, so like he looks up, down, checks the doorway, like there's no wire traps or anything like that. Steps in if there's nothing that he obviously sees. Not gonna roll perception because he's just following like the basics of the list like he was taught. It's like look up, down, make sure no trap. Then walk in, gun at the ready because lots of dead bodies. Even if they die from asphyxiation, well, there's probably a creature out there that kills through asphyxiation. He's probably heard a story about that. Probably an old wives' tale, but still. So yeah, he's walking in, checking all the zones. Once again, just on like basic bodyguard, basic kind of piratey border stuff.
Okay.
Making sure that no one's
basic
alive.
bitch stuff.
So once you go in there and you more or less see everything's good, because you see everything's good, do you give like an all clear?
Yeah, if he sees everything's good, he just says, looks clear, except for just doesn't finish his sentence. Like
Clark
right at the captain when he says that.
Clark is going to flick on his headset, his helmet's lights, and then he's going to walk in and start looking around, actively looking around, trying to find an area for her to plug in the Type B power cell so that she can start doing her own work. And he flicks it on. And he's like, "Let's just find a port," is what he says to her as he goes in to look. And I imagine she does the same thing. All right, and so the three of you search around for a little bit. I'm not going to make you roll because eventually you'll be able to find where it is for her to plug it in. And so you go over and you set the power cell up and you plug it in there. And immediately once the systems start coming online, all that stuff, immediately once it comes online, you can already tell like the power cell itself, just based off of how quickly it's drawing. You've got maybe a half an hour of power to keep these systems running because you're doing the entire bridge is what you're turning online.
Yep.
And so everything comes on and it's all inhuman. It's all human. And it's like very specific Alliance military, their modern stuff human. And it's like, okay, got to try to work through this. So he immediately goes over and he walks over to the corpse of the captain and he says, Krax, can you give me a hand with this?
Oh, that's probably a bad choice. So Krax like walks over, very ungracefully, just like one-handed, holding the rifle in one arm, reaches out, grabs the captain by like the neck or throat, lifts him up, and just puts him over his shoulder.
He looks at that and he's like, "Thank you," and he sits down in the chair. And
as soon as he sees, he just like drops. Like he thought he was like, yeah, we're going to give him a burial, like a warrior's burial. It's like, yeah, well.
And then once again, he stops to like look at the body flopped on the ground, like takes a moment to center himself. Like, these people are here to help me. Let's not say anything. This isn't the time. Because luckily,
it's also a Krogan who's heavily armed.
Well, luckily the character, he's got a 10 wisdom, which is average, but he actually is he's charismatic and very smart. So he knows this is not the time. And so he just goes back to like working on the interface that's at the captain's chair and starting to like look through stuff and trying to find like the logs for the most recent things while you guys are trying to look for the life support bit. So, Rick, could you do me a favor? And Ollie's actually assisting you with this, unless Ollie's trying to do something else. Ollie, do you want to assist with the life support?
I might as
bit?
well. There's nothing I can do. I don't understand a human.
No, but I didn't know if you wanted to try to see if you could figure out anything. Just if you had any other questions. Like I said, if you can't understand this race, you just kind of go deeper into code.
What I might do is try and find an actual map of the inside of the ship, because I can understand the map to find a route to where the life support is.
If you even say something like, "I'm going to try to find the map of the ship," like you announce that in any way whatsoever, he will literally go "Deek, deek, deek," big screen map of the ship.
Then I would spend time looking at it.
And then "Deek, deek, deek," the ping that was put up there by Rick goes onto the screen too.
Yeah, but then how do we get there in a big abandoned ship? Is it just sheerly one corridor?
And then you would that's where you're going to come in.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Okay.
I knew we had all the other parts somewhere.
Cool. All right, so you'll be doing that, and you'll be trying to figure that out. So we'll get to you in a second. Rick, roll me your roll.
What do you want me to roll again? Electronics with.
Same thing.
Bloody hell! I chose the wrong specs for this.
Well, it's only because
I was waiting for that to happen.
It's only because Erin's not here. Usually she would be able to take care of this, but your friend's not here. That's all. So you're trying to just access the computer to allow it to give you the information that you want, and it's one of those like access denied, access denied, intrusion alert, access denied, and you're like, okay, let's do this. And so now you kind of like, this is where you've been kind of working with the interface that made sense at some point. This is the point where you kind of like place your fingers at like one top corner of the keyboard and you slide it over, and your entire keyboard interface completely switches over. Every single symbol on your virtual keyboard in front of you has switched out or changed its location. Every key now standing out for entirely different algorithms, and you get yourself ready because you're about to play your favorite game. Hacky computer. And so you start going at it and trying to make your way in. So we're going to get to you in a second. Ollie, could you do me a favor and roll that for me? This is going to be an intelligence survival, I believe. Let's see.
I'm going to tell you I can't do that. I will roll it, but I will fail.
Hold on. Intelligence survive would work. Let's see. What is another way that we can have you go down there? Yeah, that's kind of an intelligence survive check. Yep. Because
that's
that makes
fine.
Sense.
That is what it is. I just can't do it. That's what I'm trying to do. I just can't do it.
So you're trying to find the back corridors, the ways to get through there and whatnot, but just simply put, the easiest way down to the bottom floor is going to be through the elevator shaft. Everything else, like the stairwells and whatnot during emergency protocols, vacuum seal, all this stuff seals up, The elevators, they don't like...
They seal the stairwell, but the elevator shaft are unsealed. So that's so backwards.
No.
Humans
The elevators shut down. The power is pulled from them.
Yeah, the elevators shut down.
Yeah.
But you don't seal the shaft, but you seal the stairwell.
The stairwells are all sealed to be opened as needed for the purpose of combat. So in case you're being boarded or whatever.
For combat makes it. For emergencies, that is absolutely fucking terrible, and they should call OSHA or the equivalent. Because that's real bad. If there's a fire, you're fucked.
No. So for combat, for the sake of if somebody's boarding and they're trying to get through, you're now choke holding them inside areas and whatnot.
For combat, actually, which also tells us something more, that they were on at least combat alert while this happened. So I did get some information with my 2. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.